Hello, everyone. This is Brother Benson, and I'm joined today with my guest, who is Kennedy Sankara, who we are going to discuss with some of the issues that are affecting us in our country. And we will discuss so many things. He's also youths who have been in the forefront on matters concerning governance and the Gen Z who are fighting, who are trying to bring new changes in the leadership of Kenya. Sankara Barigani.
Mzuri sana, natumai uko salama.
Mi niko vyema.
Okay.
Nairobi
Kwa siku ya leo.
Mi pia nimeshukuru kuchukua muda wako kuja kufanya kipindi na mimi na nashukuru sana. Unajua hapa kila wakati tukipata wageni kama wewe tunajaribu kuongelea mambo ambayo labda wewe tunataka kujua ufafanuo wako labda kwa jambo ambalo labda anakuambia. Kuna rafiki yangu tulikuwa tunazungumza na yeye akaniambia kwamba dunia hii ishavaa marinda, imebaki lipstick tu itoke. Kwako wewe unaweza itafsiri aje?
Dunia imevaa rinda,
imevaa imebaki tu ipake lipstick na itoke.
Kwa ishara ya lugha ya ndani inamaanisha dunia ni mwanamke. Hiyo kimila yetu mwanamke ni mavuno. Mengi mazuri yanakuja kupitia kwa mkono wa mwanamke. Kwa mfano uzazi ni mwanamke, kutunza mimba na kuleta mtoto ambayo wengine ni viongozi, wengine ni wafanyikazi ama wajenzi wa uchumi katika taaluma mbalimbali.
Lakini unajua ukiangalia dunia, watu wanasema kwamba dunia ni mviringo ama dunia ni duara, lakini ukapata kama dunia ni duara na unajua marinda ni nini. Sasa inakujaje hii dunia inavaa marinda na ni duara na imepaka lipstick?
Ya dunia ni mengi, hatuwezi
Okay. Thank you so much, Sankara, for taking your time to be with us here. We usually discuss issues that are trending and issues of concern, especially for our good country, Kenya. And right now we have what is still being discussed, and people are giving views depending from where you sit or depending from the political affiliation you are at. And this is Echoes of War. And this was a play that was scripted by Malala, knowing very well that Malala was a SSG for UDA at some point, and they had political differences with the president of the UDA party. But during the whole processes, so many things played out until yesterday when the drama was coming to an end. President said this one, I quote, "Stop corrupting children with the negative politics." That's what President made. And I think President was referring to the play of Butere Girls. On your own view, as somebody who has gone through high school and have witnessed some of these plays or some of the books that have been written about governance, what is your take?
Thank you, Ben, once again. I think the problem with William Ruto, the president of Kenya, is that he was brought up at a time that criticism, constructive disagreement on pertinent issues was neither here nor there. Ruto was brought up at a time that critics of government of the day were either brutally abducted, tortured, and maybe to some extent eliminated. He never envisioned a scenario where young people would play what quote unquote radical plays against the government of the day. But I know that that is where it comes from. Unfortunately, in this era, it doesn't matter what he thinks. What matters is whether whatever these kids are saying is right. Had those kids played maybe SHA inafanya,
Mhm.
serikali iko imara. Would
Mhm.
they have brought in the Malala aspect? Let us put Malala aside. In 2014 or thereby, Dennis Itumbi composed a playwright and guided the kids of some school in central Kenya to play the you know the play. Is Dennis Itumbi a teacher? No, he is a blogger. In
Mhm.
fact, he's a blogger. He's someone in the IT world. He's not a teacher by profession. When these kids were blocked, some of them in 2013, when I was barely a Form 1, to
Yeah.
play the same Butere girls, the Shackles of Doom, the current Minister for Interior, Honorable, I don't know whether it's honorable, but let me call him his name, Kipchumba Murkomen,
Mhm.
was aligned with Malala, and he was questioning why the girls were being denied an opportunity to play. It was just a play. Today, Murkomen was asking what was Malala doing in school, and he's not a teacher. In Kenya, politicians do not speak. You wonder whether they speak because they mean what they're saying, or they're genuinely agitated or concerned, or they just speak because they are on the other side. Whatever they say while in government differs completely from what they say whenever they step out of government.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
in my personal opinion, that play is okay. If the president wanted a play of his own, he would have paid his people the way he does with everyone
Mhm.
to play or to act a play that deserves meets his expectations. But when it comes to creativity, let
Mhm.
the girls play. There is
Okay.
no problem. It is the actually in
Mhm.
Swahili we say fasihi ni kioo cha jamii,
Mhm.
or loosely translating to the I mean literature, art and literature being a mirror of the society. It
Mm.
depicts what leaders do and
Mm.
what the people, the subjects feel. When I was a student in high school,
Yeah.
I read Kidaga Kimemwozea.
Mhm.
I read Betrayal in the City. I read Betrayal in the City to some depth. And today, if you gave me time to act that book, I would
Yeah.
take the role of Adika, the radical university student who wanted change in Kafera State, where
Mhm.
we had Boss, who was the head of state, and Mulili. Mulili was a semi-literate but powerful character in the government. Don't we see William Ruto's Mulili? He's there. So this was, and this is something we did way back in 2016, and
Mhm.
today we are seeing Mulili in 2025. So what is wrong with the play? The play is okay. The
Mhm.
president is allergic to truth. He only believes in chorus singers of yes sir, yes sir. We are not his ministers. We are the bosses. So we
Okay.
have the opportunity and the right to think, not unless thinking is a criminal offense in Kenya.
Uh-huh.
Whatever that was subjected, those girls are subjected to, is quite sad. We are the only country where tear gas is so loose to an extent that even patients are being tear gassed. Schoolgirls are being tear gassed. The government is actually training young girls, those girls and students at large, to hate the government. Very soon, they will be blaming them as Gen Zs who have lost morals and etc. It is them robbing morals out of these young girls. I was tear gassed in high school. How do I feel seeing a police outside there? That's why at times you see policemen are even in problem and Kenyans just let them suffer because
Mhm.
they have been made to hate the police. I call upon the police to at least act professionally for the first time so that we have a responsible service team, not a team of rogue characters. Besides taking orders, someone should know or take
Mhm.
time to evaluate whether the orders are actually constitutional. What has got the kids who are just in school uniform
Mm.
harmed? A very creative play got to do
Mm.
with the tear gas. So that tells you that even us Gen Zs who are called dangerous, treasonous criminals, we are not criminals. It is them. They are the criminals. It is them. They are the treasonous ones, not us.
Okay, thank you so much. Tutarudi kwa kizungu kwa sababu kuna jambo ambalo umesema ambapo inafaa pia mimi nizume shule, nataka kujua kwa sababu umesema kwamba ukitoa pale ufafanuzi ukasema kwamba fasihi ni kioo cha jamii, na unapata mara mingi kioo cha jamii tumetumia sana, na kioo venye naijua ama venye naelewa ni kwamba ukisimama mbele yake itakuwa inakuonesha wewe. Ukisema kwamba wewe ni kioo cha jamii, kioo cha jamii inakuwa tu mtu yule anafanya mabaya ama yule mtu anafanya mazuri, si yule mtu anafanya mabaya, ama kioo cha jamii inafaa ikuwe kwa watu wote?
Rais angechukua kioo aweke kwenye ukuta, ajiangalie asubuhi kabla hajatoka ofisini ama kitandani mwake kwenda kazini, aangalie ni kipi kinatokea kwenye kioo hicho anachokitumia. Kioo itakutoa jinsi ulivyo. Ukiwa umevaa vizuri itakutoa umevaa vizuri, ukiwa umevaa vibaya itakutoa umekaa vibaya. Sasa hivi tuko na wanasiasa ambao wanataka kuikarabati hadi kioo ili itoe tu sura yao mzuri, lakini sio ile mbaya. Na sisi kama wananchi wenye ueleo, wenye ueledi, wenye mshikamano dhabiti, tunasema kioo lazima ikuonyeshe jinsi ulivyo. Ni juhudi ya mtu kibinafsi kujitengeneza ama kujirekebisha, ndiyo akisimama kule kwenye kioo aweze kuonekana jinsi alivyo kwa uzima, ndio tujue yuko salama ama hayuko salama.
Okay, asante sana kakangu. Sasa tena niko na swali, kwa sababu mara mingi tumeona katika nchi labda kuna wale ambao wanakosoa serikali ama wanakosoa viongozi kwa matamshi yao, labda kwa vitendo ambao wanatenda matendo. Lakini tukikuja hata tu nirejee, we've seen people who are criticizing the government, especially on where they feel the government is not doing it right. But on the eyes of the politicians will say, this kind of group, they're being used by somebody. For instance, when the churches say that, okay, we don't want to accept your money, then they will say somebody's using the church. If the media maybe is criticizing on the issues that are affecting, then the media is being used. If the children, especially like now this play, the way it had played, so there's somebody, because you can get information from other politicians, say that we should take politics out of our children, and maybe somebody's using them. Why is that one so about our political leaders? That if you give negative criticism of them, they feel like there's somebody who is misusing you to do that. Like you do not have that thinking capacity to criticize or to know what is right and what is wrong until they tell you.
Some of our politicians are still primitive, backward, and retarded. Yeah. And I would say it is the art of a civilized mind, not an educated one per se, but it is the art of a civilized mind to entertain other people's thoughts and opinions respectfully, in as much as you do not agree to them. Yeah. We must not agree. We have to disagree. And that's why we are human beings. So politicians are people who would speak based on what is suiting them.
Yeah.
If you dare disagree with them, they give a contrary opinion. But again, who are we? What do we say? Everyone is entitled to their opinion. So the politicians will always speak. Because if you're keen, Ben, you will realize that politicians are people who speak based on prevailing circumstances and their current coordinates. Politicians ni kama ndege ya helicopter. You can only trace them based on their prevailing or actual coordinates of landing. When they are in UDA, they speak how government is very focused. When they leave the government, they are becoming so bitter. For instance, it's not good to call names, but I would use this guy. This guy called Kennedy Odiek. He was the UDA coordinator somewhere in South Nyanza.
Yeah.
This guy dismissed me on TV and calling me a rudderless Gen Z just because I was trying to tell him that, you know, this and that. But when he left UDA, when his demands were not met, he became so wise so all of a sudden and started criticizing the government. And even this criticism is not progressive. It is a retarded and backward criticism, a criticism that is only aligned towards achieving his political interest, which is not the case. So politicians will always be politicians, and there's a big difference between politicians and leaders.
Yeah.
Not all politicians are leaders.
Yeah.
A politician is like a prostitute.
Mm.
It is do me, I do you. You pay, you go.
Mm.
So with them, it is based on what do they get. A
Yeah.
politician is a visionless character. These are people who never have something to think of the future. They always use the present to determine to give positions on their talk and etc. So politicians are generally, most of them are portraying a very wicked character, weird character that makes it difficult for most people to trust in them because you ask yourself, what changed?
Yeah.
Even evolution is a process,
Mm.
but politicians make change of mind an event and not a process. This entire thing ni mchakato, na mchakato iko na sheria zake, lazima itoke kwenye stage fulani ikienda stage inayofuata, hivyo hivyo hadi ikuwe ni kitu ambaye imejumlisha mikakati mingi. Wanasiasa hawana subra, hawana mtizamo huu wao, bora waseme kinacho wanasema. What I do say is like politicians are like false prophets.
Mhm.
They tell you what you want to hear as opposed to what you should be told.
Yeah, ni kwamba wanataka kukueleza kenye yale unataka we kusikia na yale wataki wewe usikia hawatasema. There's something you've mentioned about how politicians act, and my question to you is, it is like lack of opportunity. If the opportunity is taken away from you, then you become bitter. But when you have the opportunity, you become very happy and sing to the choruses where the opportunity is coming from. Not only him, but this is what we are seeing in the political arena, whereby even some of our leaders that had very logical and very good debates in thinking and progressive minds and progressive area, immediately they get an opportunity, they tend to change, and some of the comments they make you question their credibility. For instance, right now in the broad-based government, yeah, the people who formed Kenya Kwanza, some of them are not in the government and they fought for it fully. For instance, Wamunyoro fought for Kenya Kwanza and they give it all. But when the disagreement came, now he's out. Yeah, and you could see the kind of politics that he's doing. Come to Azimio or ODM that have joined. They were, before joining, the way they were reasoning is quite much different. Some of them is quite much different the way they are reasoning today. Does it mean that when you get that opportunity, the way you think shifts, and then when that opportunity is taken away from you, it also shifts? Or what is happening?
It's called table manners in politics.
Mm-hmm.
What do I mean by table manners? See no evil, hear no evil, say no evil. So when I say that is table manners in politics, you'll never hear a benefactor of any government speak against it or something contrary to the stance of the government of today or of the day. And that's why you see politicians will always give contrary statements or varying statements at different points in time. For instance, take a case of the former PS Muturi,
Yeah.
the former speaker. In 2015, I think he was still an MP for Mbeere North.
Yeah.
Um, the question of CDF was brought up.
Mhm.
He said they can align the CDF with the constitution and operationalize it so that it doesn't stop what MPs are doing.
Mhm.
In 2025, probably 10 years later, after he has been removed or suspended as a minister, he says CDF is unconstitutional, corrupt, and a swindle agency where public money is being stolen by MPs. It should be stopped. The question is, what has changed? So that answers the entire questions that it's called table manners. And it's a very bad culture that we call table manners because if I can only speak when it affects me,
Mhm.
what of the rest? Neomela, a German theologist, once reminded us that when they went for the Jews, he wasn't a Jew, he kept quiet.
Yeah.
When they went for the trade unionist, he never spoke because he wasn't a trade unionist.
Yeah.
But when finally they went for him, there was no one to speak for him because everyone else had gone. It's a bad trend that I must denounce and strongly oppose, that people only speak when it favors them. It calls upon leaders to exercise or manifest or demonstrate integrity. For
Mhm.
instance, in 1960s, when Jaramogi Oginga Odinga never found it was no longer tenable to be the vice president of Jomo Kenyatta.
Mhm.
He resigned, citing that he could not continue withdrawing public money without working.
Mhm.
He left. In 2025, look at Wamunyoro or Rigathi Gachagua. This is a man who went out of his way, biting and tearing apart any leader who spoke or seemingly stood before Kenya Kwanza's quest for leadership. Where is he today? He is out of government. What does he say? It is now that he knows that illegal deals were being done in the government, that it is the state house that was actually abducting and killing Kenyans, that it is the president that has done A, B, C, D, and the scarcity or the value of information
Yeah.
relies on the timely communication of that information. For
Mhm.
instance, if I were to be kidnapped today and eliminated,
Yeah.
then you are well aware that there are plans to eliminate me and you keep quiet. Then you wait for them to eliminate me, then you come and say, I had these people plan on this. Seriously, Ben, does it
Mhm.
make sense? That is what Gashagwa and his Hilk team of failures are trying to make Kenyans believe.
Mhm.
I can say on your show authoritatively that people like Kalonzo Musyoka drive down here State House Road every evening. He meets William Ruto at State House. The same Kalonzo Musyoka is masquerading as an opposition leader, continuing to wipe emotions and ride on Kenyans' pain.
Mhm.
Shame on the leaders we have. So politicians are operating like a syndicate of criminals, a ring of criminals,
Yeah.
where they decide to play varying roles at different stages. The same Kalonzo Musyoka, someone is seen as a savior, is a beneficiary of the same establishment of Kenya Kwanza. That theirs is to ensure that the citizens are not like idle. They are there to make us busy. You take your segment, classify them as an opposition. You do this. It is the same thing that happens in Azimio. Raila today is very funny. He's running both opposition and the government at the same time. Some of his MPs are fierce critics of the government, not because they've been instructed to go against the government. People
Mhm.
like Sefuna. They take those orders from none other than the party leader of ODM. In the same ODM, there are campaign ushers and flower girls like Gladys Wanga. Theirs is to campaign on Kumi Bila break.
Mhm.
In the same camp, you find people like John Badi. We are now in government. Who is in government? I am Sankara. I am Aluo from Kisumu. I am not in government. It is
Yep.
John Badi, and not even his family. His family are only beneficiaries of his existence in government. So are uh, politicians. I would like a better term, but politicians are just people who are there. These are people without morals, without principles, without integrity.
Mm.
Most
So,
of our politicians, the
mm,
then DCI chief, Minister for Interior, warned us that if we don't change and we elect the same people who have showed interest, we were going to elect wash cartels into parliament. True to the words, your guess is as good as mine. They are there.
let me ask you, because when you give the character trait of all the politicians, and we say that, okay, this is who they are. And if you look at their entire political career, some of them have been in politics and have been elected for almost over 15 to 20 years. The same people playing the same politics. Now, where do we put the blame? Should we put the blame on them, or should we put blame on the people who are electing them?
The people are underempowered, Ben. And an angry mind is an unstable mind to make rational decisions.
Mm,
Kenyans no longer listen to what you have to say. Kenyans listen to panga laini. If today you were to take your campaign trail to let me use Nairobi CBD,
mhm,
you preach against dysfunctional systems like unfunctional or dysfunctional health system, deplorable state of prisons,
yeah,
um, transport sector. Then come in the same campaign and tell and greet Kenyans, wananchi mpo, na mimi nasema nataka hii kiti ya CBD, na juu ya sababu sina muda wa kupoteza, naomba mpange laini. I am telling you, you will remain there with those your ideas.
mm.
Kenyans listen to panga laini more than this can work. This can work.
So let's talk about Pangalaini, and that can work. So that reminds me
So
of,
before we blame the people,
yeah.
it is the seed that the people have been fed on.
Mm,
The system has been rigged
mm,
to make the people solely dependent and not independent.
yeah,
The government is running to grab every other space where the citizen feels empowered and secure.
yeah,
For instance, you saw them bringing some dubious agricultural bills aimed at ensuring that even that black white cow at home that
yeah.
serves Wairimu with milk should actually be monitored by the area chiefs so that they pay taxes to the government. Are we not going back to the colonial era where owning a property was a criminal offense? Are we not making the people to depend on what we call in the Gonya culture? Set me
Mhm.
free.
Set me free.
Yes, people will always meet you and tell me, no, how are you leaving us? It is no longer practical to have political conversations with people without money. Politics has been monetarized. And let me tell you, Kenya organizes one of the most expensive elections in the world. Our MPs are one of the most expensively paid MPs worldwide. What is our GDP? What is our per capita income? What
Mhm.
is our balance of trade? What do we get in return? What do we export? We
Mhm.
run the country on a supermarket economy with a bloated executive. We have over 290 members of National Assembly. We have
Yeah.
over 20 ministers. We have over 4,000 MCS. We have over 30 something, PSS. The number is endless. All these people are running SUVs. All these people have security. All these people have personal assistants. Do you know today Kenyan politicians owning a chopper, a 500 million and something stuff is like buying a mango alongside, at roadside mango shop. Everyone has a chopper. You ask themselves, what are they earning? You find an MP who is earning, let's say, 1 point something million,
Yeah.
is dishing out 20 million every week in an Arambe in the name of doing business. They do not contribute to set up manufacturing industries. They do not contribute to help Kenyans, vulnerable Kenyans with chronic illnesses, seek medication. They
Okay.
contribute to build churches.
Okay, and that one informs us that maybe the when it comes to voting process and the system that we have, because the system that we have has always given us the same leaders, be that the same leaders that maybe some of them were involved in corruption, the same leaders that even their educational background is being questioned. So at what point will people say no to such kind of like political processes, or the system that keeps on giving us the same people with the same thinking ideology and the same leadership skills, whereby the politics is being monetarized?
I think the June 25th incident is very clear. That was a warning shot. If we were in a war, that was a warning shot. Uh, People in the military or paramilitary understands that better. The shot might be coming. I don't know when, but I'm sure it will come. So you're asking me when the people actually shall put an end to this, when the people shall finally rise against impunity, when the people shall rise against blatant misuse of public resources, when people shall feel it is no longer acceptable or it's no longer consumable, they
Okay.
will rise up and they will fight for themselves. What I love about the people of Kenya and my country, these are strong men and women. They don't cry, they act. You can't compare our country to some of our neighboring countries where things are done by a click of the watch and everything is gone. It doesn't work that way here. So I believe it shall come to an end when the people shall finally say enough is enough. It's no longer tenable. But if the government is listening and it's keen, it shouldn't take anything the public is agonizing against for granted, because even the anti-finance bill never started as a serious thing. We started, they dismissed us, they called us names, they gave the president false hopes, thinking that magic was coming, but the people were boiling with anger. And when it erupted, it busted. It rained, it flooded. So they should take, I think, only fools want to experience it by themselves, but wise people learn from other people's failures and successes. It is time they learn.
Do you think that is possible? Because do you think that is possible? Because when you listen to some of the politicians and some of the utterances the people in the leadership are making, they are the same mistake. Because remember, I can just quote one. I think this was a member of parliament for Suna East, when they were burying the head of Raila Amolo Odinga. They were saying the greatest achievement that he has made in parliament is to impeach Wamunyoro. Like that is something that he counts like as achievement. And these are the legislature. They've been given the mandate to represent the people. They've been to legislate, to oversight, and to make sure that things are working, you know. But instead of even saying, okay, I can celebrate that, we decided to bring a budget, or we decided to fight for the SHA to work rightfully, but he's saying that the greatest achievement for him is impeaching Wamunyoro. Do you think they
But
can change?
whatever happens in this country, beautiful country called Kenya, everything is done to achieve a political expectation.
Mhm,
People impeach or get impeached because the political realignment of the day do not favor them.
mhm,
So this has happened and it will continue to happen until the people shall say enough is enough.
mhm,
Whereas Junet may be making a politically correct statement,
mhm,
but in a leadership perspective, that is not the way to go.
mhm,
Because I told you, politicians are running this country in organized criminal way.
mhm,
They are dividing the citizens to ensure that the citizens must keep discussing them
mhm.
over and over again. There is no single day you will find Kenyans notice.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Sankara. We will be still engaging Sankara. I think there must be a problem with his internet. But as we discussed, we are still on the conversation list. Oh, okay, thank you so much for coming back. We lost you at some point, and you were talking about that, and there's also a remark that I want you also to react to. This is a leader, as you know, there was. Uh, some members of the public who were in parliament and they were being approved were appointed by the president. And this is
Yes.
what the Junet Mohammed said. If you ask me, the minister for gender should be a man because gender cuts across. A man would have ensured that gender parity is properly mainstreamed. Women are given opportunities to deal with their matters, but they don't take it seriously. That is Junet Mohammed, and this was in the parliament that he believes that, especially if you ask me, the minister for gender should be a man because if it's given to women, they deal with their matters, but they don't deal maybe matters to do with men. So, what is your take on him on such on a remark like that?
Junet is right, Ben.
Mm,
We no longer massage donkeys down the slope.
yeah.
Women who have held leadership in this country has failed not only women, but even the people in Kenya.
Mhm.
What we see, like, for instance, the people of Oma Bay, elected a progressive governor who all of a sudden became a campaign usher, singing Kumi Bila Break. The other woman was elected in Machakos. She is now a walking uh, uh, freight company, working with money in cash, even in the airport. So uh, when men are being seen as a possible solution to these other issues,
Yeah.
I think the MP was very right that it's time Kennedy Sankara is made the minister for gender. So that because Kennedy Sankara is a man married who was married a woman and is also a son to a woman. I'm a grandson to a grandmother.
Yeah.
So we understand that there is gender in Kenya. Let me just sum up. In Kenya, there is a misconception that
Mhm.
gender stands for women. Nothing like that. Gender is the identification of birth, or based on birth of the human beings, whether I am a male or a woman. The
Mhm.
gender. If we do fill official forms, there are questions for gender. They don't specifically say it's female. So why do we think that gender should be a female reservation? We are making the war against, you see, and that's why at times I blame the 2010 constitution.
Yeah.
We have a bloated executive for no apparent reason. If we are talking about femicide,
Mhm.
people are concentrated more on the killing than the process of killing.
Mhm.
Some kill to harvest organs because if you see or hear the condition of the bodies of victims of femicide, they
Mhm.
are horrible. So instead of people speaking to the root cause of femicide, people are concluding that men are killing women. That is not the case.
Mhm.
These same men are husbands, are fathers, and they are brothers to sisters. They
Yeah.
are very protective on the female gender. So, um, and you find radical toxic feminists calling men this, men are dog. That is not the case. So I think, not I think, it is my belief. I'm strongly persuaded
Yeah.
that we men can perform best when it comes to gender. How does a man run an entire family of a woman, a mother, a father, a daughter, a son, and fail to deliver on the uh,
Mhm.
provisions of agenda CS? We
Mhm.
should move away from this thing because they are saying there is equality before the law. Both men and women are equal. Why are some gender being given preferential treatment? Whereas even the boy child today is disintegrated and forgotten. So men can do better than women in those positions, especially where gender issues is concerned. Look
Mhm.
at what William Ruto did. A person accused of gender violence, gender-based violence, is the one he nominated to the gender commission.
Mhm.
People who I know my rights and staying single are the ones he nominated to the gender commission. He never considers merit. I don't know, because even the current CS gender,
Eh,
how did she become a CS? Is this broad-based government or bed-based government? Because she just lost the husband. So by losing the husband, you become a minister.
but
People would start.
and that's where we usually ask, especially when it comes to good governance and leadership. Do we reward competency, or do we reward uh, political, or we reward to purchase the political power? You know.
Ben, I'm telling you, the system is rigged. Everything is political.
Yeah.
And that's why even if someone was saying that politics, somebody is corrupting the minds of young people with negative politics, they should tell us, they should demonstrate positive politics. Because if you go to health sector, it is political. If you go to education sector, it is political. The current CS Ogamba was a deputy running mate to the former CS Muchogu.
Mhm.
They unsuccessfully contested for gubernatorial seat in Kisi. So that should tell you that politics in itself is, I mean, everything is political. So we
And,
are mobilizing even public service delivery
mm,
around politics. That's why you see anybody being appointed being in line with politics.
mhm.
And that's why we will never have change because these are dealers, these are not leaders. These people have serious deals to chase. They don't have time to see to it that something good happens to the common man.
And why is it that sometimes we apply law partially? And the reason why I'm saying we apply it partially is because there are places that when it touches us, we tend to now to bring the law and cite those laws. For instance, because we are just learning, you know, I know you went through the education system. Both of us went Kenya through education system. There are some incidences, especially in school co-curriculum activities. Some of the teachers that are coming, they do not have the expertise, especially to train the students. So, which means they have to procure these services, because they don't have them, and it has been happening for long. It's not the first time, even with the case of echoes of war. Maybe just because president and Malala, or they were not in, their political interest were not meeting, so that could be. But us coming through high school, especially even in the watchman in the gate, the security guy, he's not a TAC, is involved. There's somebody who is cooking is not a TAC, he is involved with the life of the students. Now when it
The
comes to,
chaplain. The
The
chaplain who
chaplain
prays to the students is
yeah
not a TSC.
is not a TSC.
The canteen man or woman who sells mandazis and bread to the kids, to the pupil or the pupils or the students, they are
Yeah,
not TSC licensed.
yeah,
The cow, the herdsman of the
yeah.
school who
Mm-hmm.
looks after the school cattle is
Mm-hmm.
not a TSC license. The flower boy who cuts or the garden man who
Mm-hmm.
handles the whatever is not a TSC. The driver who drives these kids everywhere is not a TSC driver. So the notion of bringing TSC here is neither here nor there. I have just given a very concrete evidence that
But
Denis
now,
Itumbi once
but
acted a play, written and acted, coached students acting a play. Denis
you,
Itumbi is not a teacher, and
you
I
know
believe he will not become a teacher.
where I see the problem is, the problem is that um it is they have the acts that is guiding that, which is a law that they were supposed to be followed. But for the longest time, nobody has ever tried to put this one into force or into practice. But when a crisis come, now you point it out. How is that one making us grow as a society or as a country? When
You see,
mhm,
selective application of the rule of law has
yeah,
been a very dangerous precedence in the Republic of Kenya,
mm,
where people are not prosecuted based on the criminality of their activities.
yeah,
They are being prosecuted based on their opinion of the current government or the government of the day. If we can get to a point that whether I'm in government, I can be arrested, prosecuted, and my rights to fair hearing
yeah,
is guaranteed, then I would call it a right step in the right direction
yeah,
towards democratic
mm,
emancipation of the country. But
mhm,
as long as we leave the DCI only, you only see those Subarus when they are going to abduct
mhm,
or when they are taking orders from a big man somewhere.
yeah,
That is wrong. We should let political affiliations not hinder functionality of independent constitutional bodies.
mhm,
It is the disfranchisement of government systems that actualizes what we call a failed system. If we are going to rely on government pronouncements rather
mm,
than system coordinated system framework, then we don't have a country. So even the police, like in the US, the
mhm,
police or the attorneys are actually not the attorneys, but yeah, the district attorneys are elected by the people.
yeah,
They take allegiance to the people and not to politicians of the day. They respect the constitution and the rule of law. In Kenya, we appoint every Tom and Jerry. During the promulgation of the 2010 constitution, the primary idea of an independent police body was to disconnect political weaponization of the law enforcement bodies like the police and
mhm,
subsequently its sub branches like the DCI and DTC. What people like William Ruto did was, through Uhuru Kenyatta, was to amend that constitutional provision to
yeah,
have appointed uh, police boss who takes orders from state house. We've
mhm,
had the doctrine of separation of power in the constitution, but what we see is a direct interference by the executive on powers and privileges of other government arms. Just like the executive,
mhm,
just like the judiciary, just like the legislature, all these people draw their power from the people. And that's why, pursuant to the provisions of our Constitution 2010,
mhm,
Article 1:1, the sovereignty of the people and the supremacy of the Constitution. All sovereign power belongs to the people. That is chapter 1. So Anything that is not for the people is against the people and shall never have the people.
Okay, thank you so much. And now, because I know, I don't know whether you are still a representative of Youth Senate of Kisumu, or
Yes, I'm the youth senator of Kisumu County
yeah.
and the speaker of the Youth Senate Assembly.
Okay. So because you are coming from Kisumu County, we need to discuss some issue here that has become a topic of conversation, especially concerning, we call it Ramogi Luo Caucus. They came out and had a presser. And this was necessitated by the comments that James Orengo made at the funeral last weekend of the Right Honorable Prime Minister Security Aid. And in their statement, some of them were calling Orengo to apologize to the Right Honorable Prime Minister and to the President too for disrespecting the President. And they were saying some of the they were saying that Orengo should concentrate, especially to go and maybe find a way of how to look for roads. In your own view, do you think Orengo by any chance did something that was not supposed to be done, or what happened, or he was being disrespectful?
Then the Constitution provides for the freedom of expression. This
Mm-hmm.
is inalienable constitutional right. When I say inalienable, it can never be removed or taken away from somebody. So the people who are castigating Orengo, let me first begin by highlighting their shallow professional qualifications. The so-called professionals ought to have called a press conference to highlight how many professionals have they mentored, how many professionals have they helped secure jobs, how many professional networks have they coordinated and formed, what
Mm-hmm.
are even the professionals doing in politics? Why are they concerned on gagging the constitutional right to freedom of expression of a governor? Despite being a governor, Orengo is still James Orengo as an individual. Before he becomes a governor, he is a Kenyan by birth.
Mm-hmm.
By that virtue, the freedom of expression do not exclude him either. So those professional bodies, as a politically informed character, I would tell you, these are busy bodies mobilized by the Deputy Chief of Staff, State House, Eliud Owalo, to
Mm-hmm.
speak on his behalf. I dare him to come and question this. This is a very informed information I'm giving here.
Mm-hmm.
So the professionals should even feel ashamed of themselves. They should know that politics is not a career. They're professionals. These
Yeah.
are doctors. These are traders. These are teachers. These are engineers. These are farmers. What are they doing in politics? What has their profession got to do with politics? Is politics a career? It is not. No one, I mean, politics is not a career.
Yeah.
It is just leadership. So, in a nutshell, I would say those are part of kicks of a dying donkey. And drowning man catches on a straw, but it drives back to the drive of persuasion by political classes to praise or impress. Let me use the word impress the government of the day. Whenever you see people like professionals, Luo Nyanza, remove the word Luo Nyanza professionals. Just call them those quacks masquerading as professionals, doing a press conference to castigate a governor for speaking his constitutional right. Shame on them. Where do professionals get time to speak on cameras? Professionals are doers, not sayers. They never have time to sit on cameras and wait for 1,000 for mobilization to castigate Orengo. Now they want to impeach Orengo just because Orengo has questioned the day. Orengo has nothing to lose. Even today, I think he has told them that. And This will be the beginning of the end of this political choir singing session in Nyanza.
Mm,
We, as those who've seen the face of the Lord, we shall not entertain political myopy in Nyanza, where
mm,
people want to follow somebody like cows. We are not as ants. We are people of Kenya and we have those constitutional rights to think. So if Raila joined broad-based or bed-based government, whatever the case, whom did he consult when he was joining that government? Did he consult these people? So because he joined the government, Orengo said a very critical thing that ODM betrayed its beliefs, what the people know it for.
mhm,
ODM decided to dance on the graves of the Gen Zs whom were mercilessly abducted, tortured, and killed by William Ruto's government. That is the evil that Orengo has committed. Isn't it true? Ruto has confessed that Raila helped him. How did Raila help him? Through people like Gausho to counter demonstrations of young people by organizing goons to infiltrate peaceful protest. Then you find people like Ruku,
mm.
who has been nominated to the public service, taking a bill to parliament to gag the freedom of expression. But I'm not surprised that quacks are actually joining government. He has never appointed any progressive character. He only goes for the dirtiest amongst equals. So it is okay. But for those masqueraders in Nyanza, we will not entertain them. Orengo should not be moved because if circumstances dictate, then we shall decide on how and when we are going to do what
Okay,
with
thank
whom.
you. There's something that Orengo said that to me, I feel like it should take a reflection, even as the professionals are calling him out, because he said Orengo wanted to test if the institution works. And he said, when before the broad-based government, when president was visiting, he was the only person who was there to receive the president. Yeah. And what he wanted to do, he knew very well that 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 is what constitution is all about. Yeah, but those during those days, um, right now, they were not calling out on Orengo or Ruto, the president. Then by then, before that, president was not a good person. So what has really changed between now and then and now?
Then politicians should cease to think that they can just think on our behalf and act on our behalf. We're no longer going that direction. We
Mhm.
have the freedom and the ability and the capacity to determine the truth, and we shall always be there to decide for ourselves. No one is going to decide for any of us.
Okay. And I also had an issue. I don't know whether you came across a video that was going around actually for one of the residents from, I think, Isumu West, who was being ferried by family members using a bed, detached bed to the morgue, and the state of the roads, and
It
what do you think?
is Southwest Ward in
Southwest Ward.
Kisumu West constituency.
Mm,
Let me tell you, you will be surprised to see the MP from the same constituency
mhm.
parading himself as the manager of CDF.
Yeah.
The constitutional responsibility is oversight, representation, and legislation. The
Mhm.
conflict of interest will hinder service delivery when you want to oversee and you are a contractor.
Yeah.
You want to oversee and you are a supplier. How are you going to oversee to audit and to tell us that so and so and stolen this? Those broad-based adherents should now tell us what roads has the broad-based constructed in Nyanza.
Mhm.
It's shameful that people suffer even in death. That person suffered all his life, our life. she had to suffer even while dead. So uh, we must rise against impunity.
Mm. So what kind of conversation should we have? Because at the end of the day, and you listen very well during that burial, and the good senator for Siaya was asking the president, what you need to do, you need to give us our share. And when the president is giving people share, how do you know that this is our share? How can we know that this is our share? How do we know?
We don't need to run after State House for an MP to get development.
Mhm,
Take an example of an MP like Babu Owino.
mhm,
Babu Owino is an opposition member of parliament and he has never been in government, but he has done so much for the people of Embakasi East. If systems were to work, gone are the days when people chased Moi to State House to be allocated for funds. If the systems are working,
yeah.
development can be channeled all the way to the bottom of the lake without the president's involvement,
Mhm,
because the right to fair share is a
mhm,
constitutional provision. But why am I quoting the constitution here now then? The people, the custodians of the constitutions are not believers of the constitution. William Ruto is the man who worked to oppose this 2010 constitution. Unfortunately, is the very, very beneficiaries of the provisions of these constitutions. Were
mhm,
it not for the 2010 constitutional provisions on the role of the deputy president, I can authoritatively declare here that William Ruto would have been impeached long time ago. But
mhm,
because they saw a lot of issues within the presidency, he was
yeah.
protected. He is the first deputy president and the second and the first deputy president to ascend to presidency directly after 10 years tenure.
Mhm,
Yes. So people must just decide
yeah.
on how they want this country to go. If
Mhm,
we continuously sit and agonize, the dogs
yeah.
are waiting to swallow the country alive. So it
Mhm.
is time for young people to organize, mobilize, educate, then celebrate later.
You're talking of young people to mobilize and to have, but apart from the professionals who had present, there's also young people who are also calling upon and saying that Orengo should concentrate in Sia and see how to develop Sia. These are young
Then
people.
let me cut you short. Those are
Yeah,
not young people.
yeah.
Obungowich of Kisumu is a lazy character who walks around Kondele, bad mouthing any person who
Mm-hmm.
refuses to sing to his political tunes. Those are
Mm-hmm.
not young people. Not unless young people changed. Those are the renowned political psychopaths within the precincts of ODM party in
Mm-hmm.
the villages. So we should not use the word young people. How many young people spoke? I am a keen follower of those political developments in the rural Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
Those who are paid actors,
Mm-hmm.
instructed to act hostile towards Orengo's political pronouncements. It will not shake him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So
So those are busybodies. Those are people on our hustle. You see, in this government of William Ruto, everyone is hustling. The other
mm,
day, you saw him mobilizing young people to the construction site. And Kenyans were asking themselves, how come all these construction workers are so many today and they're they're not that we know the typical character and behavior of a construction worker. They
yeah.
never have the energy to shout, siku zote. We know these boys and how they are organized. So I think William Ruto should just try to lie to other people. Sisi tumechoka na hizi uongo zake.
Mm-hmm.
No matter, no amount of hired threats, intimidations, and innuendos will sway off people off the track. who are determined to pursue a particular goal. It shall never work.
There's one of our friends here called Lee Njiru. Njiru wanted to interact with you. I don't know, you will allow me to invite him, or what do you think? Because you are the guest.
No, I can interact with Njiru. Maybe it depends whether he wants to interact with me here or he wants to engage me privately. Should make that clear so that if it's privately, you can share with him my number. If it's publicly, I'm okay to have him here.
Njiru, that's the link. That is what you're asking. So just let me know. So come and ask the questions that you want to ask. Okay, Mr. Njiru, how are you doing, sir?
Yes, habari yako bwana brother Benson na mgeni wetu siku ya leo.
Yeah, mzuri sana.
Yeah, thank you brother. I've listened to you and I'm really happy when I see young people, middle-aged people coming together and talking something sensible about our country. So I think for us to be rescued, these dialogues have to continue. Thank you very much for your participation hivyo hapa. The fact that nakuona hapa inaoneshana you are on the trajectory and you understand the stakes in Kenya. Wacha nikupeleke moja moja kwa Bwana Orengo. We have seen some situation where some groups in Nyanza region are mobilizing na kusema ati because Orengo is disrespecting Ruto and Raila Odinga, he needs to get out of power. So the question which I'm asking you, when did it reach in Kenya that if you are in loggerheads or if you are not agreeing with somebody, it is equivalent to you not performing in work? So the question which I'm asking you is Orengo a performer, or this rhetoric is coming because he is not in the praise and worship of certain people? And if that is the case, is that a redemption trajectory of Kenya? If you're in loggerheads of some people, you risk losing your seat.
I think political intolerance is a very sensitive segment of our politics in Kenya. And these are some of the things that culminated into the post-election violence in 2020, in 2007. It's not, I mean, this ethnicity or negative perception, it brews from within. The same way those masquerading professionals in SIA could not entertain Orengo's opinions. It's the same way this thing will outgrow the Luo nation to an extent that you cannot entertain dissenting opinions from Coastarians, Morema, or Rift Valley. So the question of Orengo's performance lies with the county assembly. It is the responsibility of the members of county assembly of Siaya to tell us that Orengo has performed or not has performed. That is legislation. And you see, in Kenya, the legislators are doing every other thing apart from what they're supposed to be doing. E.g., impeaching Orengo is becoming so easy to them than overseeing the actualization of devolution agenda at the county levels. So the question of Orengo's performance, I don't think would be answered now that the motive behind the questions, not from you, but from them, is to impeach him. It is the, structured constitutional bodies to determine the effectiveness of Siaya County as far as devolution goals is concerned. These political innuendos can neither take us here nor there. They are just moto ya karatasi, which comes and goes. But I would tell you for a fact, no professional has time for cameras. Those masquerading professionals ought to have told us how many production companies have they set up through their professional connections. How many young people have they empowered? How many institutions have they built courtesy of their collaborative efforts as professionals?
Okay,
Not
thank you, sir.
coming to, not coming from camera.
Jiro, and even to engage him, because like what I was also thinking, because there are so many challenges that, especially when you come to Kisumu, we know, especially something that I've been talking about, especially when it comes to political, those who have suffered in the political violence, some of them have never been compensated, even including Bedbipendo. Why can't the professional also take time right now? Because now there's that broad-based government, there's that now good relationship between the government and all of them. Why can't they push for agendas like this so that those people who are the victims of post-election violence can get compensated? Why is it on only allegiance?
Then those are guns for hire. Some of them are even perpetrators of this very, very violence. They thrive in chaos. They love it when people are disorganized. You never see them speaking about compensation of baby pendo because they know when you speak of baby pendo, you are attacking broad-based government, where the perpetrators and the people who enablers of that, because baby pendo situation involves Raila Odinga, and they don't want to, we are living in the times of those biblical times where prophets told, false prophets of Baal told the kings what they wanted to hear, as opposed to what they were supposed to be told. And that's why their empires collapsed. I would tell any other person to continuously ask these people what they don't want to hear. It's not our business whether they respond, but they should know that we are informed and we are actually aware, we are taking notes, and we are following very closely.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Njeru?
Yeah, I want to advance you now to the topic of the day.
Yeah.
Actually, I did not agree with that situation of Orengo because they cannot remember Orengo is not performing when he is not beating Ruto drums. So for me, I think those people were placed there by Ruto, but I don't think he is going to succeed because even with a lot of political discomfort, I think Orengo is a trailblazer in Nyanza region, and I think you need more than what they did if you want to eject Orengo out of power, even if he is a one term.
Yeah.
So kama kuna mtu anataka kutoa Orengo, he needs to do more than that because I think Orengo is beyond sycophancy, and I don't think Orengo can be sycophant on a government which is not performing. I think Orengo has outgrown sycophancy. That is why, like, Mbadi can be a sycophant. Mbadi can be a sycophant because he has not grown. And so many other people in the Nyanza region can be sycophants. But it is impossible for Orengo to be a sycophant, even if people want. Because Orengo, he looks Kenya in a, si ati namtetea, but if people want Orengo to be a sycophant, haiwezekani. Hata Raila akijaribu kusukuma Orengo kwa Ruto, haitawezekana. In fact, it will bring more division. Orengo can only become a sycophant of progress. If Ruto is doing something, he can become a sycophant. Even me, I can become a sycophant of a government which is performing. So Bwana Sankara, and you have a beautiful name by the way. Sijui hiyo jina ulitoa wapi. So wacha nikuingize kwa hii siasa ya Ruto sasa. Hii ambayo imechokesha Wakenya kabisa. And young people are direct consumers of what the government is doing. You know that young people are the ones who consume the activities which the government is doing. So, yeah, and if you want to understand the parameters of a government performance, don't go to the old people. Old people sometimes wakoko kwa villages, they don't understand what is happening. Some of them have even hibernated. But if you look at Kenya today, people from age 10, let me call it that way, people from age 10 to age 35, the most productive group, both with and dividing it in a half, one which is already in school and another one which is already ready for the market. Those are the people who are highly complaining. Then the question which I'm asking you is, why is Ruto so naive? He thinks these young people are attacking him out of no reason. And since he got to employment, or since he became the Kenyan president, we have not reached a level whereby these young people have been able to absorb anything from Ruto government. So maybe my question to you today is, can you tell me Ruto's achievement to the government so that
Ruto has achieved one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Ruto has achieved the unjustifiable doing away of NHIF and replacing with SHA. They used almost 1.4 billion to institutionalize SHA, whereas they were claiming that the pending bills of NHIF were about 30 billion. So look at that difference, the margin. It doesn't make economic sense. Ruto is the largest landlord in the country. You cannot tax people, take their money, use public land, build them houses, then sell to them, and then you call it affordable housing. It is now 47 hours. Walk in the streets of Nairobi. Those streets children need more affordable housing than people. Kwani nani ana kwao? Everyone has their own. So there is nothing that William has touched that is progressive. He walked in, he did away the same education system that brought him from Sugoi all the way to town, that made him meet Moi through the University of Nairobi. It's the same system that he thought is no longer tenable. If this help system noticed William Ruto back in their village and brought him to Nairobi, how come it doesn't work all of a sudden? It is no longer, working just because he got the presidency. They brought the privatization bill the other day. They wanted to do away with monumental buildings like the KICC. And then I ask myself, were it not for the monumental appearance of KICC or its scenic appearance, would William Ruto be able to trace the location of the University of Nairobi from wherever he came from? So it is what he does. His history is of destruction. He found State House in its appearance. That State House is symbolic and historical, the way it appears. He brought it down and put up a different structure. So you wonder, he is renovating everything. There is nothing new he's building. Then his square brigades will be here lecturing you on how you should support the government of the day. We are doing enough. By paying taxes, we're already supporting the government. All they need to do is to deliver. No one would. I'm a very liberal person that when you do right, I will give you credit. When you do wrong, I will force you vehemently. But they only want to hear no evil, see no evil. No, we cannot do that.
Okay, so do you have another question?
Yes, I have. Let me ask Bwana Sankara. Na naona Gitonga anasema asante sana kwa kutuletea mtu ya Burkina Faso. So, Sankara, it will be so bad kama ujui Wagadugu. It will be so bad. It will be so bad kama hata hujaichukua ndege ufike Wagadugu.
Natafuta fare ya kufika Wagadugu ili tuende tuchukue spirits ya Sankara tukuje nayo huku. Najua hiyo muda ukifika, Ben, mutaona venye mnanijazia kikapu niende Wagadugu. I have connections over there.
Yeah.
I have people who can even get me closer to Traore.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Okay, goja kidogo. So let me now punch my question.
Yeah.
So, Bwana Sankara, you have seen
Yes.
how opposition is forming in Kenya, whether it is forming or not forming, but it is now visible. Maybe 1 year ago, we didn't have like a politician coming out and fighting Ruto. Most of it was like organic people, young people like Gen Z and the rest who are fighting Ruto. But moving forward, you are now seeing leaders or people with the political crowd coming out and now trying to stand strong. We are hearing Matiang'i is coming. I don't know his point of injection or trajectory at Anziapi. Gachagua is there trying to fight Ruto, even though we don't know how genuine that path is. Martha Karua we know anapigana. So like wacha tuseme kuna watu wengi wanajaribu kupigana na Ruto sahi. And we have also had very many people who are fighting Ruto, including the voices of dissent. everybody has agreed that Ruto is a one-term president. Hata mimi, I don't want Ruto for another term.
Yeah.
So can you help me to understand, do you think the current political crowd can achieve that? And if they are not able to achieve that, what mistakes are they doing to achieve a one term for Ruto? Thank you, Bwana Sankara. Sijui kama umenipata.
Well, I think, Jiru, in the quest of leadership, the fight should be progressive. I believe William Ruto is very bad. But again, his replacement should not be worse. If we only focus the war on Ruto must go, then who comes next? And that begs the question, have Kenyans normalized voting out unpopular leaders as opposed to voting in credible leaders? Because they will run, Kenyans are emotional people. Out of emotions, they will run, Njiru must go. But who is coming to replace Njiru? That is a very critical question that we need to answer. But I know we are not insufficient of people. Kenya is a country of over 50 million plus people. You, both of us, anyone can make a good presidency directly or indirectly through people who are capable. But the fight is to have accountable leadership. We should move from a personality-based politics to an issue-based politics. When are we going to discuss production? Kenya is currently running on a supermarket economy. We are producing nearly nothing. I asked Ben here, what is our GDP? What is our balance of trade? What is the per capita income? Are people able to put 3-course meal on the table? Are we substituting our diet for a more cheaper meals than before? What are we going to do to move from such yokes? Are we going to speak on leaders coming in? Our concentration should be on legislation. Because if we have qualified people, rational people holding legislative responsibilities, then governors are not going to loot counties dry. The president is not going to be running left, right, and center. Making the country look like a toy play. We are going to have people with stamina who are able to hold someone accountable. But whom do we have? We have criminals all over. You cannot throw stones when you're living in a glass house. It will hurt you. So that begs the question, legislators we elect, are they able, are they up to the task to call accountability shots? The MPs have left the accountability to to civil society organizations. So it is a very engaging topic, but we need to get our, cards right so that it's a systematic issue. Even if we were to elect Deputy Jesus as the president today, with the rotten members of county assembly and MPs, we are headed nowhere. That is the truth.
Yeah, but there's also something maybe, Njiru, if there's something that also you can help us understand, Njiru, because when we are talking about even like having new administration to come in place, or by people insisting that the President Ruto is a one-term president, there are some of the things that we should consider, especially in our political landscape, or what usually makes us vote, or what are the driving factors to the voting booth. Yeah, one of the things that we know as a country is about the emotional voting, whereby our votings are being influenced by emotions. Sankara has mentioned that. We know our voting are being driven by tribalism. We know that our votings are being driven by literacy. We know that our time is being driven by continuously electing leaders who have failed the people. Because you elect a leader for almost 15 years, yeah? And in the 15 years of his term, there is no tangible something that you can point vis-a-vis the 15 years. It doesn't match. So you ask yourself, how can we as a people, or how can the Kenyan voters run away from these pointing factors or these driving factors to the booth? Like then they transform them, because by only saying that President William Ruto is going to be a one-term presidency, that one does not change the narrative. You can do that by making him one-term presidency, but still the pointing factors are still available. The person you bring does not bring any change that you want. And you saw that by NAC when NAC came into power. What has happened ever since NAC came into power? The same figures have been in the political scene until today. So you ask yourself, how can we vote quite much differently? Or what are now going to be the driving factors to the booth? What are the answers that we are asking that are on the booth that we need? No, not the answers, but really the questions that are on the ballot box that we need to ask ourselves and say that this is what we are going to answer. What are those answers that we want? How can we, and how are we going to form those questionnaires and say that, okay, these are the questionnaires, and when we go there, we are going to confirm them or we are going to answer them? How are we going to do that?
Let me help Bwana Sankara kidogo. Let me tell you, politics is emotional by nature, especially because politics involves many people. You need to know that the psychology of crowd is nonsense. I'm so unfortunate is that even you.
No, you are speaking the truth. You are speaking the truth. It's only that I never wanted to put it that way, but the psychology of crowd is nonsense. That is it.
Yeah, so this is what happens. Even you, saa zingine when you want to make a very serious decision, inabidingi kwanza uachane na watu uende peke yako ukafikirie. But this idea atunaanzia kusema ati this is a boys club, wacha to decide. That's how unaonaga the tendency of a group going to beer ama kuenda kwa vitu haziwasaidii as usual. So that's why a group of people is called a gang. It's called a gang, you understand? A group of people is called a gang. So this is what happens in the psychology of people. The psychology of people, when people are in large groups, like 100 people, 200 people, immature decisions are the ones which take weight. Because remember, the people who are thinking, I'll never given time to filter. Ata Mburu anasema hii kitu tugonge. That's what I want you see election as a mob justice event. What happens during mob justice event? Mob justice event, unakutanga yani, the guy who suggests huyo mtu auawe ni jamaa mwingine hata akai ameoga, yani jamaa mwingine falafala tu.
Ni mwizi. Actually, in most cases, Njiru, it is the thief who usually suggests execution of the fellow thief. That is the truth. In most cases, even if you walk here in CBD, you find someone who has mugged somebody or robbed somebody. The person who is protecting them and the person who is also, inciting the people against them. These are people in territorial wars. You've invaded my place. I have to give you to the people, and it happens. Yeah, even in polling stations, we were having a conversations that for the first time, the middle class are coming or waking up to political issues happening in Kenya. For a very long time, when there are issues with public primary schools, they rush to private. Public hospitals, they go to private. Until Ruto raided everyone's payslip, people thought that it is very necessary to fight. So it happens that whenever they go to the polling station, they ask, what are the people saying? So when you say the psychology of a crowd is nonsense, it's true. They ask, what are people saying here? They're saying it's Ben. No, it's Njiru. So what are you saying? It's Njiru. They vote Njiru not because they've heard of Njiru, they've engaged him, they've, they vote because the people are said.
Okay, let me tell you something about Asia.
And these are some of the issues that we need to look into. Political education is very critical because our working society is very difficult to rob. It's like robbing a man who is awake in your illusion and imagination that he is asleep.
Bwana
it
Sankara,
becomes quite difficult.
let me tell you something about Asia, where I've learned something about Asia. Let me tell you, Asia has gotten how leadership comes. Ukiangalia all presidents or in most of Asian countries, China, Vietnam, Japan, Singapore, most of those people who become leaders, they are guys who have very little circles. Actually, they treat like this outgoing guys, hawa watu wako na marafiki wengi sana, like you are extremely an outgoing person. They treat it as a red flag in leadership. If you look at the Asian psychology, they look at those guys who can concentrate on issues, even if you're not outgoing. Kama sasa saa hii, like you will be shocked. The next president of China, hata hatumujui saa hii. We don't know him. He's not even a guy within the cycle. Like the current president saa hii, go and read about the story of the current president of China. You'll be shocked. Ni jamaa hata anajulikana. Alikuwanga jamaa
I
tu na
have
huko kwa msitu.
I do my intensive research, especially on Chinese politics and the Asian world. They are the complete difference of Africa. Here we can predict the next president of Kenya. There you can't.
Correct.
The
That's what I
president
wanted.
comes as a surprise.
That, and they have made it that way. So like so hakuna ati story ati you have assembled money to use money to get power. In Asia hakuna ufara kama hiyo. So for them they are able to look at parameters. They are able to look at parameters. They look at your progress of development, wanaangalia, and then they also don't want an ambitious person. And at the same time, they also want a very patriotic person. That's why you see like somebody mtu kama Xi Jinping wa China anaweza kuumiza mbaya sana juu ya China. Like that's how it is. But can Ruto do that? Ruto hata akisikia sasa kuna watu wanataka kuiba Nairobi, will he care? No.
He becomes an accomplice.
Those are the things.
Of ambition is actually very dangerous for a developing country, because for today you will hear William Ruto is featuring in every story. Kosovo is there, RSF is there, Congo is there. What does that speak in itself in political science? It's of ambition. He wants to be everywhere.
So
he wants to be part of every deal.
So Sankara, that is the problem we have in Kenya. We have been unable to distillate leadership, and we have decided as a nation, leadership ni yule jamaa ako na kelele mingi sana, yule jamaa anajipanga, yule jamaa ako na pesa. So we have relegated all the other attributes of leadership. Remember, majority of people who win election in Kenya do not deserve those seats. Wetu jua hivyo, because Sankara sisi
I was telling Ben that today himself and myself agrees to do a campaign trail in Nairobi CBD. Then he goes to the people and tells them that he plans of introducing trams in the street, doing away with bus congestion in the city, expanding the sewer lines in the CBD, availing free fresh water for drinking for people in the CBD, revolutionizing the waste collection and disposal. Then I come to the same rally and tell the people that the people of Nairobi, I feel it is time for me to lead you. But because I am so busy and there's a lot of things we have to do, kila mtu apange laini. Ben will remain there, lost with these ideologies. People will go for the Panga Laini initiative. So this Panga Laini initiative also speak about economic empowerment. How empowered are our people? How empowered are they information-wise? To know that 200 cannot feed you for the rest of your life or for the next 5 years. If a politician is going to rob 1 billion, then he pays you 200. Can you divide 1 billion by 30 times 12 by 5? Then you get what he earns per day versus your 200 divided by those 5 years. It is nothing. So it's about getting people to know actually what happens behind the scenes. whenever I was telling Ben that when the people shall actually come to the realization that it's no longer tenable, bearable, enough is enough, they shall act. They will not be pushed. No one imagined that we could actually bring the city to a standstill during our 25th June protest until they saw it. Because those prophets of Baal around the presidency, they gave him the hopes he wanted to hear. These boys are drunk, hawa ni vijana wa kuvuta bangi, hawa ni vijana tu hawana kazi, wanapendanga kelele hivyo, hakuna kitu watafanya. Even Moi was told he was going nowhere, but he lost the 2022 elections. History repeats itself. Ruto is not an exception, so he should be a very worried man.
Yeah. So what nimalize
If
point
not
yangu.
trouble.
Yeah, maybe our last remarks before we
close, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, sawa. Nilikuwa tu nikitaka kuongeza tu nani Bwana Sankara hapo, and so I wanted to talk about those parameters of leadership.
Yeah.
So when it comes to election, even in 2027, we will not elect the right person. So let's be clear about that. So the issue of Kenyans going to the ballot and electing the right person, we will not. We will be going to, because there will be options. So but hatutakuwa tukisema tutakuwa tunaepukia Ruto going to unknown territories.
No, sasa Njiru, wacha nikuulize. Let me ask you a question on that, because if that is the case, then which means what people are looking for today, they will not actualize them, because, and that is what I was saying, that what are the answers, or what are those questions that are in the ballot box that when you go to vote you're going to answer?
Let me tell you, okay, 1 minute nimekupata. The problem of Kenya, every country kuna watu tunaitanga power brokers in every country. So the problem of Kenya is that the Kenyan power brokers are evil. Let me tell you, you don't make yourself a president, you are propelled. But the people, the Kenyan crowd, which propels
it's
people
called
to power,
the mafia ring. They decide who becomes the president. You find that even the president up there, for instance, let me ask you, do you think William Ruto in his right senses decided to do away with the NHIF and bring SHA? There is a powerful cartel somewhere who saw an opportunity and also told William that, you know, you have to, there is your share in this. We have to do this is business. So there are people who see opportunity in everything. They run the country in the best way they have designed, not the best way it should be run. So there are people who call the shots. They are very powerful. They are neither here nor there. You can't see them, you can't trace them, but they run the government behind the scenes. The people we have is a pencil president, a pencil MP, a pencil MCA, a pencil minister, a pencil police officer. There are people who call shots on how everything is
done. Sankara, you see, like the power brokers in America and China. In America, they kwani wametoka?
No, tuko.
Oh, so the power brokers in America they are concerned with the capitalism. The power brokers in America, they are concerned with capitalism and propelling their nation ahead. The power brokers in China, they are concerned with their communistic agendas and all those people, those things. But what is the interest of the Kenyan power brokers? The interest of Kenyan power brokers is self-interest. They don't have Kenya in their agenda. So the solution for Kenya is somebody who can come and dismantle that power brokerage ring, and we take power back to the people. How it works, I don't know. People used to talk of Kiambu mafia, what. Every community has its own mafia. Even in Ujaluoni, kuna the Luo mafia. In Masairad, there is the Masai mafia. There is the Kalenjin mafia. Now they come together. So what I'm trying to say is that there is a cabal of people who are actually destroying Kenya.
Okay.
It's only their face. It's unfortunate. I hope we can get ourselves from that ring. But tuko kwa meno mbaya, Bwana Benson. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Njiru Miguda. Makobura, before we close, you came when the show was going on, maybe a one or two before we wind up.
Okay, thank you. First, let me say hi to Brother Njiru and Brother Sankara. It's been a while. Sankara, thank you so much for finding time to just join us today. I like the fact that, Sankara has been getting several opportunities in different medias, and I think he has been speaking for the youths. He has been somehow fighting for the injustices that the people of Kenya faced. So that is a good move. And Brother Sankara, I think it's a good move. Continue with the narrative of fighting for the youths and especially those people who saw a lot of injustices in this government. It's unfortunate that a good number of youths, the likes of Obungu na wale wa Kisumu, I think you know them, Brother Sankara. They used to speak. They used to speak about the injustices. They used to
Obungu is
speak
not a
about
youth.
compensation.
Obungu is not a youth.
Yeah, the other day you saw them holding press and speaking. They were like speaking on behalf of the youths. Yeah, so I think they have changed the narrative since ODM actually joined the government. They have forgotten, about the injustices that they used to speak about. Sometimes back, walikuwa natuambia how the cost of living was too high. Tukabeba masufuria kwa kichwa. Today we've forgotten about that, and the question is, kwani kuingia kwa ODM, does it mean that all our problems as a people have been solved by ODM joining the government? So that is a question that we need to look into as the people of Kenya. But to my fellow youths, I think it's high time that we stand up and fight for ourselves and fight for our futures and the future of our kids. If we don't come out to stand and fight, then tutapangwa, na tukipangwa we'll get nowhere to go. That is my comment.
Okay, thank you so much. Sankara, Njiru is asking you to join him. Njiru also is doing the same. You can join in and have a conversation with his audience. He's also a good supporter of this channel. To everyone who was on the show, I want to take this opportunity to thank you all. And we are organizing next week. We also planning to bring in a leader so that we can continue with conversation. Mr. Njiru, thank you so much for always joining, and we appreciate your comments and your inputs. They're not taken for granted. Thanks, Njiru. By the way, we have a project that we are going to do to buy. We are looking at buying almost between 30 to around 40 rim papers. We are taking it to a village whereby some of our parents could not manage. So you can be part of it. We will be bringing it live immediately. We are done and everything is put in place so that we can buy for them. It is a primary school. We call it grade what? The graders. Some of them do not. They use the rim papers, but sometimes it's become very difficult for the parents to have.
Junior high school.
Yeah, junior high school. So that is a project that we are doing. So you can also assist us. Anything small, we will appreciate and continue doing the work.
Lim 30 hizi white papers
Yeah, white papers. So wanataka almost 30 can push them for almost like one term, and that one will be will take.
Muna approximately moja pesa ngapi?
Moja is around 700 from where I asked, is around 700. So moja is around 700, but we are looking at, least we can get, we are looking at getting 30, but if we can get more than that, that can push them for a long time. That also will assist us big time.
Naonaka guys kona kikuja hapa. Guys kona yuko kwa kipindi leo. Guys kona ebu kuja ununue malima hapa bwana. Hata Gitonga. Gitonga kama ni 700 ununue
kwaje?
Tuko salama. So we were just landing, and I hope everything is okay.
Yeah, I'm planning rushing nikimbie home.
Okay. Well, Makobura close. Let me work on something here.
Okay, Sankara, si ukuje kwangu Saturday bwana. Nikukuuliza tu.
Si tutaongea? Utachukua namba kwa Ben alafu tuongee.
Haya, sawa. Nitumieni kwa email yangu. I think nani has my email, eh?
Okay.
Benson has my email.
Sawa.
Ambia Benson anitumie email.
We'll share with you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Brother Sankara. Thank you so much, Njiru, for finding time to join us this evening. We really appreciate the fact that you took your time to be with us. To our viewers, this is Brother Benson Media, and here we say that your opinion counts. If you're new to this channel, kindly like and subscribe to the channel, because if you do so, it is a way of supporting us and we'll really appreciate. I want to take this opportunity to now wish you all a blessed night, a blessed morning, a blessed afternoon, a blessed evening from wherever you are. Thank you so much and see you again tomorrow. Bye bye.